Hi, Kodani. I hope you're well. So I'll just give you one of my many experiences when it comes to toxic work environments and how that essentially determines your view emsebenzini and also your performance and also how it affects you as a person, not only at work but also in your private life. One example pops to mind. First year of starting work professionally after finishing off my university degree or qualification. So how it started was I started work. Okay, I got a bursary in Sabine to study, and obviously after you study, then you have to go work for the company to pay back the money that they used for you to study. Okay, so I started GUI graduate program, and first experience with my then manager was him questioning what I know and what I don't know. At the time, I took it lightly because, I mean, fresh from school, wet behind the ear, you haven't really been exposed to the work environment, specifically automotive, because before I was in FMCG. So when he asked that question, we are going to time studies, I was like, yes. And he asked, can you then do he asked, I forgot when I was in Buzintoni, the second one, ne? And I was like, you know what? Put me to the test and then see if I can or not. So you can ask verbally, but put me to the test and then I will show you practically why I'm saying I can do this and why I'm saying I can do it and I can show you. And then from there, then at the time, my second born was he was what 3 months, 4 months, 3 months or 4 months. I was still breastfeeding, and I recently moved, so there was quite a lot going on in my personal life, and also having to perform emsebenzini ke ngoku as a graduate trainee because I also wanted to make sure that I do my job well. I make a good impression to my manager, and then be in line to get offered a permanent position. So I was very transparent, okay, with my manager about, okay, this is my situation. I have a young child. I'm breastfeeding. Recently moved. I've got two kids, and I'm here basically with my grandmother. And I've got no partner that's going to support, especially when it comes to taking kids to school and yeah, well, very open and transparent about that, so that if there's anything that changes in my routine, then the manager Yam will understand, and then we can come up with a solution as to how I can best solve whatever problem comes and how I can ensure that it doesn't affect my work. So I would say the toxicity started when there were snide remarks and comments that look at these students coming in late. Late being me coming in at 7:30 and not coming in at 7, and yet my contract said clearly stipulated that I started 7:30. Okay, those snide comments. Students are coming in late. What are they expect to be employed permanently? Students driving cars, students wearing these brands, students this, students that. At first, I didn't pay attention to this name. But then there is a pattern here, and it's now frequent, those comments. And also, what really drove me over the edge was when I did a presentation for I was at the time they were starting the position of a quality engineer within the quality department at the time, and there was no one who was doing what I did before, So Landuba, it's a new position. There's no handover, and you are now learning as you go about. Okay, this is what's required. This makes sense. This doesn't make sense. This can be implemented. This cannot be implemented. And also getting in touch with our counterparts or our planning department and just understanding what we need to implement, documentation, inspection processes, frequencies, yonke lanto, you know what I mean? And it started by him firstly not allowing me to go to come 3 months where I can get the proper training that I need from a person who's already doing this quality engineering job. And I only came for 2 weeks, but I managed to make good connections, and I was in constant communication with our with our planner, and the guy who was doing this job, and I managed to implement his and everything worked well. Then I was also going this other day that he was not happy, I think, with the presentation or something weird. And I said to him, okay, you wanted a presentation from me depicting exactly what needs to be done, and I have done that according to my ability, and also a way that I feel will be easy to understand for everyone, be it someone who is and understands the purposes, and also understandable for someone who is not from the world and does not understand. So why are you complaining? And then our team is not happy because this and that. Why change our presentation here completely? So I asked him, so what am I? Why am I your quality engineer? Because I feel that you are micromanaging. You said you wanted something. I did it as simple as I could and easy to understand. But you completely changing everything. What is happening? And he said, yeah, no, I asked you to, and at some point, I felt as though I was stupid. But the only thing that I kept telling myself was that I am not stupid, because if I was stupid, I was not going to make the cut of being in the graduate program or even getting the bursary. You know what I mean? And Ndambuza, I got frustrated. Ndambuza ndati, kuyo yonke lento uyicomplainayo, it's only one thing. Everything else that I have done, when it comes to audits, we have findings, but it's not major findings. You never give me the accolades that I deserve, or the congratulations that I deserve then. But the smallest thing that goes wrong, you blow it out of proportion and make it seem like and wins umsebenzi. And what is going on? And also, when you go to meetings and you present, and you would expect your manager to back you up. But that was also a problem, because I would get support from managers from other departments, and he would have a problem with that. Or get support from a senior manager, and it would be a problem. It got to a point where I had to think twice before saying something. I had to think twice before suggesting something, and just ended up waiting to be told what to do and not being proactive, And Lando, it took me, I was with a full 10 years. That whole 10 years, it affected me, not only in the division I was in, even after moving to the next division, Napayana, it was the same thing. But what was frustrating and stressing was that not only did I move from manager Onjeyana, but then I moved into a team where the colleagues were a problem. There was no teamwork, apho uzawuthi wena Khodani, let's say you are my counterpart and I'm going on vacation, or I will be off for the day and you will be my stand-in. I give you all the information. I tell you, listen, on this day, ngale date, I won't be at work, and these are the meetings that you will have to attend on my behalf, and this is the feedback that you will need to present, and if there's any other questions, just take notes and then I will answer them when I'm back, and you find that come that day, first of all, in the team meeting, when the manager is asking, and the answer will be, I don't know, she didn't say she's not coming to work. Go to meetings, into eating, I don't know, and over. You know? And you would think, kanjani. And I used to, I had this doctor visits that I needed to do in Pretoria every 6th week. I mentioned this to my manager. I mentioned this to the person that that was my stand-in. Okay, every 6th week on a Friday, andizobakhona emsebenzini because I have my doctor's appointment. But lo every Friday when I'm not there, they will not know where I am conveniently. Angayazi bandiphi, angabina information, nothing. And I was so shocked because I always had that mentality about emsebenzini, we are all adults. We are there to work for our kids and our families. And being in that company means that we are working towards the same goal, which is building a car. So if I work against my colleague, it doesn't serve the purpose of why we are at work. And I always used to make sure in Dobana, at least I've got a little bit of understanding of what everyone does in the team, so that if I attend a meeting and my colleague is not there and there's a discussion and their work or their contribution is then mentioned, I can be able to then say, no, this is being discussed by my colleague and this is the information, but if you want more detailed information, I will let them know and then they will revert to you with whatever information you need. You know what I mean? Just being a template, but no, that was not there. And it got to a point where I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And it got to a point where I couldn't sit in the same office with my colleagues. I used to lock myself up a conference room because I didn't want that interaction. And it got even to a point where when I go to work, I get anxious about, okay, what's going to happen today? What am I going to get blamed for? Who's going to say it's my fault for this, it's my fault for that? Even with problem solving, you would find that people will complain that some colleagues were complaining about, I'm not supportive, I don't want to do work, and every time they come to me, I always ask questions. And I used to say to them, working with production, with team managers, with production operators, with production maintenance, you need to know your story. So if there's any change, a production, you need to be able to answer those questions. So every time someone would come to me, but you need to do this, you need to change that, I would ask the questions about, okay, why are we changing it? What is the problem? Where is this coming from? Who triggered for this change to be done? What problem solving have you done on your side to check if this can work in your area or not? And have you checked the quality specifications? How will this impact me or affect my quality? And I was deemed as wrong just for asking those questions. You know what I mean? So it got to a point I went and gone by, hey, Yonkindo, that's a problem. It seems like it's pointed towards me. I am the root cause, or I am contributing towards the problem, And to a point, I even told, I got sickly, like in and out, doctor, hospital, and to a point where I dreaded going to work. I dreaded going to work, and that affected my kids, that affected my life, like my privately with my family, because of esa stresses asemsebenzini, to a point where I resigned. I resigned. The combat beginning of the year 2022, I told myself, Lonyaga is not going to end with me being employed. And it happened like that. Luckily, I managed to get a job, but in April, I'm resigning. End of April, I'm resigning, whether I have a job or I don't have a job. It got to that point. And the damage of not, of seeing myself as as not capable, as not smart, it got worse. And ngoku, I am trying to fix that problem, and I am doing a lot of unlearning as well, because the damage was just too much, and that damage, you end up seeing it even how you interact with your kids, and you don't want to give them that impression, but it's okay to be viewed like this. It's okay for someone else to tell you ubana unjani, and it's okay for someone else to treat you. And it also teaches you how you set boundaries. Set boundaries for Wena as a person, set boundaries also at work amongst colleagues, So that is just one story. That is just one story of how, well, two stories of how a toxic environment is emsebenzini, and also that also determines your growth, your career growth, your career path. You know what I mean? And there's one thing 3 once said to me, Uba, when people have a perception about you, you can never win. Whether you do so much good, you can never do enough, because there's already a perception. So if umdu views you as a certain kind of person, that's what I've realized. And that's how I got depressed, I would say, M17, because I never understood how you can treat umdu in a certain way, not knowing them, and actually not wanting to know them, So, yeah, that's my story.